call to order the February 19th meeting of the Butler County Commissioners. And as we rise for a moment of silent prayer and the Pledge of Allegiance, I would ask that you remember Irene Stacy this morning. The Irene Stacy Center encountered a fire today, and we don't know final results at this point, but the fire was burning through the roof, I'm told. We've made arrangements for the people, the clients, and the doctors at Irene Stacy to meet their clients over at Sunnyview. So hopefully this will get them through until they can decide what course of action to take. But it was a devastating fire as far as I can tell. So please rise for a moment of solemn prayer. Remember those people, the clients and doctors and all the employees of Sunnyview. That's Irene Stacy, I'm not sorry. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amy, public comment?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. The public comment portion of our meeting provides residents and taxpayers of Butler County a reasonable opportunity to comment on matters of concern, official action, and deliberation which are or may be before the board prior to taking official action. Presentations must be limited to 3 minutes. The chairman has asked me to remind everyone that no personal attacks on the character or reputation of county employees, department heads, or any official will be tolerated. Any speaker doing so may be ruled out of order by the chairman. I will call the names in order as they appear on the sign-up sheet, and when you come to the podium, please state your name and your municipality of residence. Beverly Shaw.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
Several meetings ago, I was here expressing my concerns about the lack of a democratic process for this meeting. Today, I'm here in opposition to your eliminating the reports. Well, I may not always agree with Jim in what he says. What I do know is I defend the First Amendment of the Constitution, which guarantees each and every one of us the right of free speech, free expression, and the right of the press. In doing this, you're eliminating not only my right to hear Mr. Epstein, but his right in the First Amendment. And I'm sure your solicitor is aware of New York Times versus Sullivan, a case heard before the Supreme Court. And they mentioned several cases. It is a prized American privilege to speak one's mind, although not always with perfect good. That was Bridges versus California. Justice Brandeis, in his concurring opinion, and Whitney versus California gave a principle in classic formulation. Those who want our independence believe that public discussion is a political duty, that this should be a fundamental principle of American government. They recognize the risk to which all human institutions are subject, but they knew that order cannot be secured merely through fear of punishment for its infraction, that it is hazardous to discourage thought, hope, and imagination. And that fear breeds repression. That repression breeds hate. That hate menaces stable government. That the path of safety lies in the opportunity to discuss freely supposed grievances and proposed remedies. That the fitting remedy for evil counsel is good ones. Believing in the power of reason as applied through public discussion, they eschew silence coerced by law. The argument of force is its worst form, recognizing the occasional tyranny of government majorities they amend the Constitution so that free speech and assembly shall be guaranteed. That right is for you, for me, and everyone in this room and this country. And to take away Jim's right to speak, or your right to speak, is wrong. Now, you may not like what he says,
Your time is up, Beverly.
but he has the right to say it.
Thank you for your comments, and I couldn't agree with you more about the right of people to speak, the First Amendment rights. However, the county meeting of the county commissioners is not necessarily the forum. We're not required to provide a forum for any one of us to slander each other, so that's the reason that it's on the agenda.
I'd like to say this to Beverly. Thanks for coming today. I concur with her sentiments there. Slander in Bill's eyes is like the judge that says, what do you know, how do you know what pornography is? And he says, I'll know it when I see it, okay? So it's Bill's arbitrary viewpoint that certain members should not have to get elected to office, and he's the decider. You know, not the courts, not Bill McCarrier and Dale Pinker, the decider. And I disagree with that thoroughly. We should have open, honest viewpoints come up in government, and sometimes it's messy. But that's what our democracy is about. There's no mess under Vladimir Putin, okay? If you protest in your pussy riot, they throw your rear end in jail, okay? That's what they do. And luckily here, they can't throw me in jail. I'm happy with that. Thank you very much.
Okay. Next person.
Next is Peggy Abersole.
Good morning, Peggy Abersole, Middlesex Township. I have a few announcements. This Thursday, or not this Thursday, next Thursday, February 27th, Voice, which is our Victims Outreach Intervention Center, is having their wish list day for donations. They will be available at Cranberry from 8:30 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. and in Butler location from 8:30 till 4. The shelter needs certain replacements to help those who are residing in them. They need 65 and 75 watt light bulbs, paper towels, single-ply toilet paper, coffee creamer, and artificial sweeteners. They have a special request in that they need a rocking chair, and they also have needs for their medical response bags. They need new adult men and women sweatpants and shirts, all sizes, and new adult men and women socks and underwear of all sizes. If you're able to help, you need to call them in advance before you donate. In line with the replenishing the needs for the shelter, given our long and severe winter weather, our food banks are also in need of restocking. So if you have any extras, keep them in mind while you're at the store. Friday, February 28th, you will be able to apply for your Alameda Park shelter reservations. The Government Center will open at 7:30 a.m. that morning on the 28th, and our Parks and Recreation staff will greet you in the public meeting room, which is this meeting room, with your shelter requests. My last announcement is pertaining basically to the farmers. Much of Butler County's economy is dependent on farming and agriculture. Due to updates in the ag-related environmental regulations pertaining to both erosion and sedimentation, which also includes manure management, written plans are required for all farming operations that land apply manure. A plan is also required in all farming operations that include an animal concentration area or a pasture. If you're not sure whether your farm needs a written plan, please contact our conservation office at 724-284-5270 for assistance. It's much better to be compliant than defiant and invest your hard-earned dollars in your farm. Take a few moments and make that call. Thank you.
Next, Matthew Deck.
My name is Matthew Deck. I'm a resident of Butler County. Start off though, as far as Putin though, personally, I like Putin. I'd probably vote for Putin over Obama, to be honest with you. Be 100% truthful there. But yet nonetheless, the issues right here is one, cutting the commissioner's reports. No matter how one looks at that right there, it makes no sense whatsoever. It would appear to be in violation of not only the right to know, but the Sunshine Act, the First Amendment, The Sixth Amendment for elected officials to confront one another's opinions before a general public agenda so that the people may hear why one disagrees with another, so that they might evaluate the conduct and performance of their elected officials, as well as even the 14th Amendment, which of course provides due process as well as protects the substantive right to the First Amendment. I do not believe elected people are elected to turn around and perform their activities behind closed doors without anybody even knowing how or why their minds are reasoning in the manner or method whereby which they conduct themselves. No reason whatsoever. That's downright, that's bordering on fascism and corruption. Take, for instance, the Celisani view. House Bill Act just passed in 2013, 1075, which states that the state is going to pick up all the funding for nursing homes. Is it possible that individuals would not want such knowledge as that known so that they could turn around and sell a nursing home, which is going to be funded by the state anyway, to some of their buddies at a cheaper price, saying, oh, we can't handle it, it's cost too much, when the state's the one paying for it, and somebody's going to pick it up and have the state paying them, they're going to make millions while Butler County residents lose a nursing center. Such things as that need to be brought out into the open to show and to prove that such elected officials, such as yourself, are thinking, are researching, and do have the best interests of the constituents of this county in mind. With that, I close.
Matt, I'd like to thank you for coming today. We can agree to disagree on Vladimir Putin. I think he jails political dissidents. So
I'd probably put him in jail too.
he'd have you in jail, Matt.
Myself, I'm against my homosexuality. I ban.
Mark Krasinski?
Good morning, Commissioners. How you doing? One of the things I wanted to say, when I stand here and talk, my overall thing is what I think is in the best interest of the taxpayer of Butler County. I may be right or wrong about that, but that's what I'm talking about. And that's why I said the judicial commissioner should be eliminated. I know he was in the paper again recently. John did not like that. However, we're handling that with Judge Durr's office with, I guess, no problem. And we're going to save $71,000 a year. I mean, that helps with our taxes. Okay, the report periods. This is a tough one for me because I really do want to hear what you guys have to say when you do different events, and and hear you come back and tell us about that. I really do, and I hate to have anything eliminated. Like we've gone through this one period now where we talk, the public talks. However, at the same time, I know Commissioner Exine does. You tend to attack the other two commissioners, and they tend to defend themselves. So we're not really getting a report period that's of what you're doing. So, like I said, I would rather more handle that I get a report of what you guys were doing. I think that would be better. Like the last salary board, I attended up in Commissioner McCary's office. I thought you guys did a great job. I think you made good progress there, and all three of you contributed. You really did. So I thought that was great. I also want to say one of my favorite ones last year was David Kurz about the monarch butterfly, and he talked about the habitat about that. I saw that came up a few times in the newspaper. So, okay, thank you, gentlemen.
Thanks, Mark.
I'd like to address that. You brought up a very good point. Bill McCarrier, look, I love monarch butterflies too, but Bill McCarrier purposely let that go. I mean, Bill McCarrier is choosing, if you come up and talk about certain things which he likes. I mean, I could like the monarch butterfly, but I think it was off the charts on being county business. But he wants to eliminate other people's free speech so that he can control the meetings, control. Let the people decide. What's wrong? We, the people, decide what goes on at the meetings. Not Bill McCarrier and Dale Pinkerton. They want to keep the things hidden as much as they possibly can. If anybody thinks they're not discussing county issues up in their office, when we come to these votes, they live in a fairyland, okay? They're do it every day. Once a week.
Thank you, Jim, for your comments. I would agree to a certain extent with what you say. We have been overly generous with people and what we allow them to talk about at these meetings, and perhaps we should restrict that from now on. I think there's a lot of people that we permit to talk about things, and we have permitted people to attack you and me and Dale on that podium, and that's not in our policy, so maybe we should be more restrictive on what people say. Amy?
Commissioner Eckstein has also signed up for public comment.
Good morning, Commissioners. I'd like to speak today about the letter to the editor on 2/14/14 by Bill Adams of Portersville. Bill Adams is a well-respected businessman and employer in Butler County. His letter was about our out-of-touch big government wanting to get into the restaurant and hotel business by purchasing the Kaufman House in Zilli. The four facilitators of this action are the Tourism Foundation, Butler County Housing Authority, Bill McCary, and Dale Pinkerton. They have all lost sight of the fact what government's parameters should be in our democracy. Is it government's job to prop up failing hotels and restaurants in Butler County to compete with private enterprise at the cost of over $1 million in taxpayers' funds? Those four think it is. Bill Adams, Jim Eckstein think it is not. And I'm darn sure we're not alone. I've lived in near Coney-Conessing growing up. My mom and dad enjoyed going to the Kaufman House. If I went on a date when I lived at home, I chose to go to Natilli's in Butler or the Monroe Hotel. All restaurants were an equal distance from our house. In today's environment, it's extremely hard for any independent restaurateur to compete with chains. Why in the world is the Housing Authority, tourism, be in the boutique and hotel restaurant business? Why in the world are Bill McCary and Dale Pickering voting tax dollars to compete against Natilli's and the Monroe Hotel? What's next? Propping up pipe and supply business? Would Dale Pickering and Bill McCary have voted for that? It would hurt Bill McCary's two boys' business in interstate pipe. You know, would they do that? No way. Is it the Housing Authority's job to decide to prop up a failed business in Zilli versus condemning and tearing down a private, independent, unsubsidized business on Main Street, Evans City, because the roof leaks? Due to this horrendous snow and ice year we've been having, has the Housing Authority ever heard of ice damming? The head of the Housing Authority, Perry O'Malley, thinks it's his job to be the decider. His weapon of choice is an excavator. These actions disgust me. Perry O'Malley, Tourism, and McCary and Pickering think it's their job in government to decide which businesses succeed and which businesses fail. Sounds like socialism to me, not capitalism. McCary and Pickering are autocrats who dictate policy in the county, and in turn, I'm an elected official in a representative democracy, and I'm damn proud to have this opportunity to serve. Thank you, Bill Adams, for your concern about our democracy. Jim Eckstein, Butler Township. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
That's all for public comment, Mr. Chair.
Okay. We have minutes from our February 3rd meeting and our February 5th meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve them.
Is there a second to that motion? I will second it. Those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Hold it. Hold it. There's a mistake there. Are we doing the meeting minutes?
Yes.
Correct? They have me written down in the meeting minutes. I voted the wrong way. Wait till I get that is on page 4 of the meeting minutes. I checked the tape, and I did not vote this way. Okay, it's on number 1 under Planning Commission. Number 1 on D Planning Commission. My vote is not correct. It's on tape if you'd like to hear it. Number 1, I voted no, and it says I vote motion carried unanimously. Will you change it?
Would you make that change, Maria?
Yes.
Okay.
May I ask a question, sir? It also says that Commissioner Eckstein made the motion. Is that also incorrect?
No, Commissioner Pinkerton made the motion.
I'm
Number
looking
1.
at
Number 1.
Wednesday, February 5th, under planning. CDBG, am I looking at the wrong?
Wednesday, February
Section
5th.
D1.
Under planning.
Resolution 2014-02 under the revitalization vote for Zilli.
That don't make no sense.
D1.
I have, okay, I'm sorry, just one moment. All right, D1, we have that Commissioner Pinkerton made the moment, okay. And number 2 there also is related to the revitalization, is that one correct?
That is correct. I voted no on both of those.
All right, very good, yes, we will make that correction.
Okay, make that correction, and we have a motion, to approve the minutes. Would you amend that as corrected, Dale? And I'll amend my second to approve it as corrected. Now, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye with the correction.
Right. Opposed? The minutes are approved.
We have no old business this morning, no proclamations and certificates. Moving on to new business, first item under court administration, Tom Holman.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
I'm asking for your approval today of an MOU with the Center for Community Resources for the provision of case management services for the, what we hope will be the upcoming mental health court. This would be, of course, contingent upon having the grant awarded. Ask for your approval.
Go ahead.
Oh, thank you very much. I'd like to make that motion. It's really important to me.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you.
Opposed?
Thank you, Tom.
Next, under facilities and operations, John Campbell.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
Today I'll be asking approval to enter into a contract with Emerson Power Network. This is for the UPS for the security system down at the prison. The cost is $3,386. Price remains the same, and the term of the contract will be from 3/31/14 to 3/30/15.
All right, do we have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second that.
Discussion? Those in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you for holding that price.
Next, under parks and recreation, Gary Pinkerton.
Morning, Commissioner.
Good morning.
I'm here this morning to seek approval to enter into a contract with Martin Borough for the administration of their grant funds from the Department of Conservation and Natural Resources. They have received a grant of $35,000 from the DCNR, matched by local funds in the amount of $15,000 for a total project cost of $50,000 for the renovation of Clay Avenue Park.
We have a motion to approve this.
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Discussion? Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
The second item, Commissioner, is to seeking approval to enter into a contract with Wade Associates of Harrisburg for the development of plans and specifications for the proposed renovation of Alameda Pool, located at, of course, at Alameda Park.
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Those in favor, say aye.
I'd like to discuss
Oh,
this.
all right, okay, go ahead.
Okay, I'd like to say this. There was a woman from Evans City that wrote about this when I first did this, passed this, and I want to address her concerns here. I remember the letter to the editor, and this is a hard decision for me, but I just want to inform the public. There's $900,000 budgeted for this project. Yeah, $900,000 budgeted. Okay, where that comes from is $300,000 from logging in the park. I was against logging all the park, but it's logged now, so we might as well use the money for the park. And we have to use it for the park. That's state mandate, okay? So there's $300,000 there to pay for this. Gary Pinkerton, I'd like to thank him for all his hard work for getting a $400,000 grant from the state. I really commend him for working as hard as he could to do that. And I think, Gary, weren't we the only 3 in the whole state that got a pool grant?
In the last grant announcement from DCNR, there was only 3 pools that were funded under their grant program.
So we in Butler County can be very lucky with that. The plaster job on the pool lasted a long time, and it's expensive to replace it, but that's another $400,000, and legacy funds from that we get them. We have to spend that on the parks too. We had recently given, I believe it's $110,000 to Glade Run Lake, and I commended the other 2 commissioners for that. We're spending these 2 years legacy funds money 200,000 for the pool also. So that none of the money is coming from the general fund. I'd like the public to know that the money, if we keep it at 900,000, 300,000 logging, 400,000 for the state grant. Now I grant you that's public money, but everybody in the state had an equal opportunity to apply for that grant, okay? So the money is there, they're gonna spend it, we won the grant. Then there's 200,000 from the legacy fund, so that's a total of 900,000. I'd like to, so none of it's coming from the general fund. I just wanted to address that. I think it was Stella Neely that wrote that, and I really appreciate her concern there. And I'd love to keep this at 900,000. I'd love to keep on budget. I believe we can do it, and I'll work my hardest to work on that issue. Thank you very much for that, Gary.
Okay, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Thank you, Gary, and thank you for the public meeting you had last night. Very well attended by many of the municipalities in Butler County, and they learned a lot.
Yes, it went real well. It was beyond what we anticipated that the attendance would be. Thank you.
Next, under Human Services, Area Agency on Aging, Beth Hill.
Good morning, Commissioners. I have 3 things to bring in front of you today. The first is we are requesting the board's approval to award a contract with Valley Care Association for home modification services to residents of Butler County. This contract will not exceed $150,000. It's between March 1st, 2014 and June 30th, 2014. This contract will be funded by options funding. No county dollars are involved.
Is there a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Does this company, are they actually doing the work, or are they just evaluating?
They have an occupational therapist go out and evaluate the consumer's home, verify what home modifications are needed. We then submit a care plan to the state for approval, and they have contractors that are hired and certified through their agency that will go in.
I wasn't quite clear, this is not the actual contractor that's doing the physical work.
They have contractors under hire.
Okay, thank you.
Beth, can you please give the public an example, like chair lifts, or just to list off 6 things we would help on?
If a consumer would need any bathroom modifications, such as bathtub cutouts, grab bars, raised sinks, anything in their bathroom to help with their safety, ramps outside their homes to help with mobility in and out of their homes, stair glides, go from one floor to another, railings on their stairs, anything like that.
That's terrific, thanks.
The second item I have is to award, we're requesting the board's approval to award contracts to Mardusel and the Nottingham Group for forensic accounting services. We have set a cap of 500 total hours between March 1st and 2014 and June 30th, 2014. Funding for these services will be from options funding. No county dollars are involved. And these are for protective service cases that we see at the Area Agency on Aging with financial abuse cases.
Did we vote on that first item?
That's my question too, sir. I don't have recording of the vote.
All right, just to be clear then, the first item, those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed?
Thank you.
All right, now we have the second item that Beth has presented. Is there a motion?
I'll make that
Is
motion.
there a second?
I'll second.
Discussion? Beth, one question that I had when I was reading this morning, why do we have 2 firms doing this?
Because it's not a steady stream of work, it's kind of a hit and miss, and if one group is busy with accounting work that they're doing, then the other group can maybe take it over. It's just not a steady or a constant stream of work for one firm to be able to dedicate one person or half a person to that. So it's just to ensure that our cases can be covered. Because it's kind of we never know when we're getting one in, and we never know how large it may be.
And this service is to determine whether funds have been diverted from their proper
Exactly.
use.
Right.
Okay.
Whether from a family member, a caretaker, or just a member of the community.
Okay. Any other discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, the third item that we're requesting, Butler County Area Agency on Aging is issued a home support maintenance RFP last month, to which there was no response. We identified and addressed the barriers provided and submitting a proposal, and we are reissuing the proposal approved by the Board of Commissioners, and we want to encourage all home health agencies, all cleaning companies within the county to consider bidding on this contract for home support and maintenance services. These services would be general cleaning of a consumer's home to more expensive spring cleaning type services.
Is there a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Question, what do you suppose no one bid on that? But you've had people doing that in the past.
We have had people do that in the past, and it was usually rolled into some of our home health contracts that we had. This is strict cleaning, so I don't know if cleaning companies aren't used to the language of our RFP, so we kind of changed some of the language and lowered some of the requirements for that. It might just be something that they weren't sure that their business would have been qualified to do in the past.
Okay, thanks for that.
Thank you.
Next, under Human Services Children and Youth Agency, Charlie Johnson.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning, Carol.
I have 3 items for your approval today. The first is a contract amendment between the Butler County Children and Youth Juvenile Probation Department and Adelphi Village for the period of July 1, 2013 through June 30, 2014. The contract amendment includes adding a diagnostic rate of $54.40 per day and corrects the female intensive rate from $225.20 to $225.03 per day.
Is there a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second? I'll second it. Discussion? Those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries.
Second item is for your permission to enter into a contract with the University of Pittsburgh for 2 Children and Youth Agency caseworkers to attend the Child Welfare Education for Leadership Program, or CWEL, on a part-time basis starting in the fall of 2014. The CWEL program provides a master's level social work degree to child welfare workers and is paid through state funds. The workers involved will continue to work full-time through the course of the education program and will be required to complete 2 years of work in child welfare post their graduation. There will be no financial liability involved in this contract. I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
Discussion? Those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? The motion carries.
The third item is for the approval of the reappointment of 2 Children and Youth Advisory Board members. The first is Alice Moons, whose term would expire March 31st, 2017, and the second is David Montgomery, whose term would expire April 30th, 2017.
I'll make the motion.
I'd like to divide those 2 names.
Sure, okay. Would you make your motion for one?
Or I'll make it for Alice Moons first.
Okay, is there a second to that?
I'll second that.
Discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Is
And then I'll make it for David Montgomery.
there a second to that? I will second it. Discussion?
Discussion. Look, I believe this is an inappropriate action here. Dave Montgomery is a solicitor for that department. He gets about $100,000. And I don't know the exact figure, but it's around $100,000 a year. That's a direct conflict of interest to be on the board and you're having your living depend on it. It's almost a ridiculous appointment. You know, I believe his wife is a caseworker too. Now, as this gentleman got to speak his mind about children and youth issues when he's so closely compromised by his wages and his wife working there? Come on, this is America. You know, I mean, these guys are shutting my free speech up. If he speaks out, they'll shut him up or he'll lose his job. Who's going to believe it? Well, you know, he shouldn't be on there. That's my opinion, okay?
Okay, first of all, this is an advisory board. This board does not make any decisions. Is that right, Charlie?
That's correct.
And the members that are on this board are picked by the other members of the board. Is that correct?
Yes, this is actually a recommendation of the board, and I'm bringing it just as their recommendation.
Okay.
Well, okay, can I comment on that?
Sure.
Okay, the board made a mistake. Okay, we come up here at Parks and Recreation, I had this stuff where we didn't pick the lowest engineering firm for our Parks and Recreation firm, okay? Well, these guys said, oh, the board decided that this is what we picked, not the lowest firm for this project. And we didn't override it, and they said, oh, you can't do that, that's the board. Come on, this is a ridiculous. Also, this is a ridiculous nomination, and I think they ought to take it back and reconsider it, okay? Dave Montgomery should not be on there.
Well, I'll stick by what I said before, this board does not make any binding decisions. Those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
No.
Motion carries.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Next, under Human Services, Community Action and Development, Janine Kennedy.
Good morning.
Good morning.
We are requesting to ratify the submission of the Commodity Supplemental Food Program, known as CSFP, contract amendment with the PA Association of Regional Food Banks, doing business as Hunger Free Pennsylvania. The nature of this amendment is to change the contract end date from March 2014 to September 2014. And Hunger Free PA initiated this amendment to extend the contract end date. And the basis of this contract is just outlines the county's administrative duties in operating the CSFP program. There is no funding actually attached to it, so I ask for your approval.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The motion carries.
Thank you.
First item under Commissioners, we're asking for your adoption of Resolution 2014-04 to authorize participation in a tax increment financing plan for the Butler Center City project presented by the Redevelopment Authority of the City of Butler. We ask your approval.
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Discussion?
I'd just like to say this, I think of anything in the county that needs, they have a new mayor, and I think this is a great revitalization effort, and I commend them for that, and I fully agree with it. I appreciate them doing this, okay? Thank you.
I couldn't agree more. And question for our solicitor maybe, do you know if the other two taxing bodies have approved this yet? Or?
I don't know if they have as of this date. I know that it was, the authority has, and that our approval, everybody's approval is required. I don't know that it has happened yet.
There has to be 3 approvals.
All taxing bodies have to be on board.
Okay.
They all approved.
What, Mark?
They're all approved within their meetings.
Thank you, Mark.
They are approved, Mark?
You can be our new solicitor.
Well,
As long as he's not getting any of my pay.
I think we as the commissioners ought to write a letter of thank you for the other 2 entities if we could. I didn't know it was done either. That was a great question. I had no idea. Thanks, Mark.
Okay, those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Next, we're asking your approval to renew a professional services contract with Maximus Consulting Services, Inc. to prepare the county's cost allocation plans. This is for calendar years 2013 and 2014. It's a 48-month contract. The fee for both of those plans remains the same as the previous contract at $14,000 each for a total contract price of $28,000. We ask your approval.
I'll make that motion.
Okay.
Motion, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Discussion? Amy, for the benefit of the public, could you explain exactly what this entails?
Maximum examines all of the operations of the county and then determines, based on their expertise and formulas, how the costs of operations should be allocated across the different departments.
Thank you. Those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Next, we'd like a discussion on the elimination of commissioner report time.
Is there a motion?
I'll make the motion.
What's your motion?
I'll make the motion that we eliminate the 10-minute time for each commissioner, and I would make the motion that it happens immediately.
We have a motion. I will second it. I'm sure we have discussion.
Yeah, I mean, well, I want people to know this. Look, I got here in a very odd way. You know, I was part of the community and I saw government being not transparent, being a lot of business behind closed doors, not being accepting to the public, not being accepting to what other viewpoints were. It was sort of like you get elected and all of a sudden you become a dictator. You know, we live in an open, free society, and we pledge allegiance to the flag at every meeting. But the Pledge of Allegiance means different things to different people. And I'm certainly on this issue, it means a lot different to me than it does the other 2 commissioners. Because otherwise, they wouldn't bring this before the board. Look, democracies are messy. if you go in the British House of Parliaments, they always have wild discussions. If you go to our House of Representatives, Mike Kelly gets up. You know, I like Mike Kelly, and I agree on a lot of his issues. And he's a likable person, but, you know, he runs down Barack Obama. Just totally at will, Obamacare, Obama this. He's the President of the United States, and he just trashes them out beyond belief. Read his website. Read his website and see what he's doing. Okay? I disagree with that. I read his emails. I read Mike Kelly's stuff because I want his viewpoints. I want to see where Mike Kelly's coming from. And I talk to him at events. He's very open with me. He talks to me at events, sometimes 8 minutes outside. He didn't have to. He could walk away. But he talks to me. Look, I give everything. I don't like what he thinks about our President of the United States. I don't like that. But I give him every right to have his website and speak publicly on the House floor about how he doesn't like his agenda and what he's doing. You know, he has that right. You know, if these two guys had their way, I hope none of them run for Congress, they take away the right for Mike Kelly to speak. I think that is atrocious, okay? And I also, look, you know, I'm so proud to be here. I get elected, I'm being treated very kindly when I go to events. I'm very well respected. Sure, a few people don't like Mike Kelly or the other commissioners. That's part of the job. You know, I take stands on Sunnyview. I think my issue on Sunnyview, they say I don't talk about the right thing. You know, I talked about Sunnyview 6 times. Was that the wrong thing to talk about? Out of the last 10 reports, I talked about Sunnyview 6 times. Was that wrong? I talked about how they degraded Lori Kubley, a prized worker from CYNS at one of my reports. Now, Bill's laughing about this, but he was wrong. She didn't get a day off. They were completely wrong. My job is to do the best thing for everybody, sort of be in the middle. You know, that's where I disagree with these gentlemen. We have a disagreement on policy. You know, I want to be in the middle, and they want to have their own form of government. I'm certainly not going to say they're on the right or the left, because they just do, you know, their own. They're certainly not conservative, and they're certainly not a liberal. I don't know where they're at. They're not for the people of Butler County, and I don't believe they listen to the people of Butler County. I'd like to finish this. You know, Abraham Lincoln, I have a book in my office, and some days it gets bad, I look up Abraham Lincoln, and you know, I think his quote from Gettysburg that day, I'd like to read the last half of this paragraph, and how important, when the men died in the Civil War, how important it was for the freedom of blacks and liberty and justice for all Americans. And a lot of people lost their lives for that. It was a bloodbath. You know, and I want to read the last part of this. It is rather for us to be here in this dedicated to a great task remaining before us, that from these honored dead we take increased devotion to the cause for which they gave the last full measure of their devotion, that we highly resolve that these dead shall not have died in vain, that this nation shall have a new birth of freedom, and that the government of the people, by the people, and for the people shall not perish from this earth. Okay? I'm not here to nitpick. You know, I'd like to finish it with that. I mean, that is really stated what I believe and what the people died for, what our soldiers died for, is freedom of speech. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you, Jim, for those comments. First of all, every issue that comes up for a vote before the Butler County Commissioners is subject to discussion by all 3 of us. We can say whatever we believe or don't believe about those issues. So we're not taking away any aspect of the discussion part of our meetings. We're simply taking away this, if this motion passes, we're taking away the report time, which many counties do not have. It is not required. You have talked a couple of times about Thomas Jefferson, who was very open about his feelings for free speech, freedom of the press, and so forth. But Thomas Jefferson also said that free speech does not permit the use of slander or of harm to others. Freedom of speech has to be tempered by truth. Just as there are rules and procedures adopted for the public who wish to address the Butler County Board of Commissioners, we must also have rules for ourselves. The meetings of the County Commissioner should promote conduct which enhances respect and civil discourse. This entails providing a climate which exerts respect for all others and civility in all public relationships and meetings. The honor of public office requires a commissioner to behave with courtesy and respect for the dignity of others in all public relationships with other elected officials, employees, citizens, and media. Accountability requires a commissioner to accept responsibility for his or her conduct, as well as the actions of the county governance system, especially when a mistake occurs. Personal attacks should not and are not to be tolerated, as they are unacceptable standards which violate the integrity of our county's government and the people to whom it serves. The opportunity to serve as a county commissioner is a high honor and confers a sacred trust to the office. Stewardship of the public trust not only requires allegiance to the law, but also obligates the county commissioner to act in ways consistent with the highest standards of ethical conduct. The county commissioner should show good faith effort to keep their communications limited and dedicated about county business. That's what our meetings are for, to conduct county business, not to criticize and deride one another. To do otherwise provides no useful benefit to the county or the people who work and live here. We have had numerous examples of documented by cable television of our county meetings over the courses of the past 2 years and 2 months that have exhibited unprofessional and unnecessary behavior, unbecoming of some of our county commissioners. We all need to be reminded that these meetings are televised. How about we have a company that's thinking about moving into Butler County, and they look at our meetings. An entrepreneur is looking for a place to move his company, and he sees the things that have gone on in our report time. Do you think he's going to consider coming to Butler County? I don't see that happen. I want to see this, I want to keep companies moving into Butler County. We have much to work and much business to attend to. We have unprecedented challenges which we are working on with our economy. They deserve our full attention. I think Butler County needs to continue to grow, and I think we need to treat each other with respect and do away with this derogatory conduct that we have seen exhibited. And it's with these things in mind that I seconded that motion. I would also like to say, Justice Oliver Wendell Holmes was ruling on a Supreme Court decision regarding the First Amendment rights. And he spoke the same thing as Jefferson did. He said he very much defends the First Amendment rights. However, there have to be restraints to First Amendment rights. And his classic example has been noted down through time, that a person can't stand up in a theater and holler fire. Now, of course, I'm not saying that Jim has ever done that. I would never accuse him of doing something like that. However, there are degrees leading up to that. You can say to the people in front of you, you're going to lose your home, which is not true. That's going to cause panic among the people in front of you. We have to restrain our public speaking comments to the business of the county and what we feel is right, not use them to degrade others. And again, as I said earlier after Beverly spoke, our purpose is not to provide a forum for public speech. Jim has that, as the editor said the other night with his truck out there, deriding and degrading Dale and I with his signs in his truck. So he has the right to do that, which is ridiculous and asinine in my opinion, but that's his opinion, and that's his right to do that. And I would never try and take that away from him. So this is the reason I seconded that motion. Is there other discussion?
Yes, I'd like to discuss on that.
Okay.
Look, I'm not a lapdog for the other commissioners. The people of Butler County can decide whether I've done a good job in my years in office I'm gonna keep speaking, and, you know, look, I got elected from that podium over there, not this bench here, okay? I don't mind going to that podium. I certainly mind being stifled about having, free speech by Bill and Dale's will. But look, we've had plenty of lapdogs in this county. You know, if they want another one, they can elect one. I believe in free speech. As far as the entrepreneurs not liking what I do, how many entrepreneurs would watch this? You know, I sit up here, a new building, low debt, that I want lower taxes or control spending. Okay, I was against their new building. No more debt. Bill and Dale are for debt and high expenses. They want to, you know, most entrepreneurs are for free speech, okay? So in your mind, they're not going to relocate in Cranberry because I'm not as liberal as the other two. I'm for low debt, low taxes, control these expenditures, and then, you know, then if their grandmother gets sick, they'll be accepted to Sunnyview. I went against Sunnyview 7 times. You know, 7 of my speeches, or 6, I apologize, 6 speeches out of the last 10 were about Sunnyview, or keeping the benefits for the workers at Sunnyview so they have fair benefits. Not the best benefits, but fair benefits. I wanted to come to a compromise on that. So these people relocating, or the people, these businessmen, aren't going to like my stance on my issues. I think what I usually get a hold of is, what people say to me is, they think you two were the Democrats and I was a Republican. But to me, the issue is not whether you're Republican or Democrat. I don't do that. When I get up here, I ran on values. That's what I ran on. Ethics, morality, values, and doing the right thing for the community. What Democrat wants to spend your money unwisely? None of them do. How many people want to get rid of senior citizen care? I'm telling you, that issue, they never win. You know, if they would have told people about that before they ran for election, they wouldn't have won. You know, so I get up here and say these things, and businessmen won't move in because of that. Are you kidding me? You know, I just sided my speech today with Bill Adams, or, you know, my speech today is with him. I'm sure he's a Republican. He's disgusted about what's going on here. You know, he said that in the article, okay? You even know him, and you're laughing at him. But, you know, I think, you know, I knew this. Why I spoke today is when you guys say something, I'm building a new building, I'm getting rid of Sunnyview, and I'm getting rid of the report time, it's gone, okay? You made up your mind already. But that's not what a representative democracy is about. So, I'm done.
Okay, any other comments?
I just would like to say that we did study very closely why we needed a new building, okay? And we did do a lot of studying on Sunnyview, and I've spent a lot of sleepless nights. And I am doing what I believe is right for our county. In the report period, the 4 years that I was in office the last time, Jim Kennedy reported on the farmers and all the things that were going on there. And Jim Lockheiser and myself reported on the fire departments and all the good things that were going on in our county. We never turned it into what it's been turned into in the last two years and 1 month. So I'm standing with my vote to eliminate that time. Thank you.
All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
No.
Motion carries.
The last item on the agenda, Commissioners, we're asking your approval of Resolution 2014-05 to enter into a master equipment lease purchase agreement with PNC Equipment Finance. This is in regard to the acquisition of budgeted CYS vehicles. You'll also see on the agenda that the Bridge Crews approved dump truck is on here, but the paperwork for that has not arrived yet. So we'd asked to table the dump truck approval and just proceed with the approval of Resolution 2014-05. May we have a motion to table that portion of the item, please?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it. Is there discussion?
Is there a table in the dump truck?
Tabling the dump truck.
Yes, sir, we haven't received the
Okay, no.
paperwork on that
Oh,
lease
okay.
yet, so that'll come up at the next meeting if that paperwork is
Oh,
in.
okay.
Those in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
And now we would like a motion on approval of Resolution 2014-05. This lease is at a rate of 3.95%, and it's for 60 months.
And the motion would be to approve the resolution and the lease which it pertains to.
Yes, thank you.
Is there a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second? I'll second it. Discussion?
Yeah, this is another, look, I didn't think we needed these vehicles. I know we didn't need the vehicles. There was 3 vehicles under 60,000 miles. I drove one of them. They were beautiful vehicles. We didn't need vehicles in the first place. Okay? Bill McCary says we needed them somewhere else. You know, this is spending, they had under 60,000 miles on, and they were, you know, like 6 years old, I believe. Don't quote me exactly on that. But they weren't even in the realm of being needed replaced, okay? I drove it, I laid underneath of it and looked at what the undercarriage looked like. I was willing to take it to get it inspected at an inspection station. This is ridiculous. You know, we cannot keep spending money like this. I mean, I know this is going to affect people from moving into the county now because I'm against big spending, but I just think it just came out of the closet right now, and I guess we'll just have to live with it. I hope they don't mind come.
Okay, and I'll stand by what I said at an earlier meeting. We're not getting rid of these vehicles. That these we are replacing, we are moving them down. We sort of have a chain where the oldest vehicles are moved out to the auction, then we move vehicles down that they're trip vehicles, and they'll be used around town or places that aren't as much danger of them breaking down. They won't be traveling as far. These vehicles we're replacing are good vehicles. We're not getting rid of them. We're moving them down to replace older vehicles. And this is the way the system has always worked. And again, I will say that I stand by the man who heads our voter pool. He told me that this is the proper thing to do.
I'd like to respond to that. Look, I'm not going to have a differentiation between departments. The Sheriff's Department does an admirable job on this issue of making sure we're 10 years old or 100,000 miles. I'm certainly not for putting any sheriff's deputies or anybody in danger, but he's following the policy, and I commend that. We can't have one person say, I want new 4-wheel drive cars, and the other one doing the other thing. But after the sheriff somehow would leave office or some other department, everybody will want brand new cars at 50 or 60,000 miles. It's just absolutely, we have to control spending somewhere. I have 2 vehicles at home. Cars aren't like they used to be, okay? I got 170,000 miles on a 4-cylinder, never touched the engine. I've got 170,000 on my own Stanford & Son truck that Bill with the signs on it out in the driveway. You even like to complain about what I drive. You can't be county commissioner because you've owned the same truck and bought it new for 25 years. Geez, I hope the guys don't like coming to Cranberry because of that. A thrifty commissioner, you know, but anyway, you know, but I've got that truck. I bought it brand new, and I'm damn proud of it, and I think the county ought to have a 25-year-old truck. I commend the sheriff for doing 10 years or 100,000 miles, whichever comes first, and his men are safe. He believes that, he does it, and I believe it. Some even go higher. I think he had one at 115,000. So thank you, Mike Sloop, and the other departments that are being fiscally conservative.
This just goes to show, Jim, that how you twist things. I never criticize what you drive. I criticize what's on what you drive. Okay, again, the vehicles that are being replaced, the 3 that are at the bottom of the chain have close to 100,000 miles on each, so we're following the policy. They might not have exactly 100,000, but they're very close to it. Those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
No.
Motion carries. Motion to approve the budgetary transfers.
So moved.
Is there a second? Those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion to approve the new hires.
So moved.
I'll second that.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And motion to approve the travel requests.
So moved.
I'll second that. I'd like discussion on this.
Okay.
I apologize. I had some compliments here about some travel requests that were excellent. I know a lot of the public knows, but I left them up in the office due to them, you know, so I apologize. I had something positive here for some people that really did some good travel requests and cared about spending county money wisely. So I'll do that next week. Sorry about that.
Those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Motion to approve the requisitions.
So moved.
I'll second it.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion to approve the check register.
So moved.
I'll second it.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Conference time with the media. Kayla?
No questions right now. Thank you.
Tom?
Yes, for Mr. Montgomery, is that a reappointment? Does anyone know?
Carmine?
Yes.
That is a
Okay.
reappointment.
And is anyone aware, is he the only solicitor on an advisory board? That's the solicitor for that department or office?
I don't think we could answer that without going through all the list of people on the board. So,
Maybe we can ask Mark Krasinski.
I'm sorry, I don't know.
we can look through the board appointments and see.
Okay, thank you. And I guess these questions would be both for Amy and Mike. From policy standpoint or legality, is there any issue with the department solicitor sitting on the advisory board?
There's no legal issue.
I don't believe there's a policy issue.
Mr. Eckstein, do you believe that the various debates you've had with the majority, mainly on projects, do you think that could have been done with less contention?
Less what? Some sort of
Contention.
intention?
Contention.
Oh, contention. I'm sorry, my hearing's not well.
That's all right.
I am what I am. You know, I got elected being the person I am, and I'm my natural self. I treat men and women equally. I'm confrontational at times. I am the person I am. I don't put on a persona. I was the same before I was elected or after I was elected, and that's a wonderful gift. You know, I don't have to wear ties or be pretentious. I'm representing the constituents, and I'm proud of that. So people can, I'm not going to change after I get elected to fulfill somebody's idealistic persona of what a commissioner should be like. Okay?
Commissioner Carrier, what's your response to Mr. Eckstein saying you and Commissioner Pinkerton are not fiscally conservative?
Well, I think that's ridiculous. Let's take the new building, for example. The new building, first of all, there was a study done by the last administration that proved that we need more space. Then we had a study done at no cost by Dick Riddleman, who was a retired architect with Burke Hill, Riddleman, et cetera, down Stantec. One of the foremost architects in the world. He's designed buildings all over the world. He contends that the best way to meet the needs of our space requirements are with the new building next to this building. We looked at building or buying an older building down the street or across town. People would even ask us to look at the old Pullman office building, which Dale and I went over and looked at it, and we realized that that would cost more to refurbish than